You woke up this morning and walked straight into either heaven or hell. Same day, same life. Today, you're going to find out what determines which one it is. We're going live, baby.
We'll do it live.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host,
Paul Bauer.
Paul Bauer. He is a certified master life coach and NLP practitioner.
It's true. It's damn true. Thank God it's Friday, and it's also launch day for the new book, baby. If you are new to the channel, my name is Paul Bauer. I help men level up and get better with women. And the funny thing about doing that is it tends to make us better men in all areas of our lives. Now, you're already here, which means today's episode found you at exactly the right time. Here's what we're covering today. The Bible says heaven is inside you. Ancient Hermetic philosophers said the same thing 5,000 years ago. And now neuroscience is catching up and confirming what both of them already knew. Dr. David Hawkins spent decades measuring human consciousness and built a scale that maps exactly where a man's internal state puts him on any given day, from shame and guilt at the bottom all the way to peace and joy at the top. And what you're going to find out today is that the emotions running your body right now are either building your heaven or running your hell. And most men have no idea which one they're in. Dr. David Snyder, a mentor of mine who trained directly under the founder of NLPs, says it straight. Control your state, control your reality. Not your circumstances, not your bank account, your state. The feelings in your body right now are filtering what you see, what you attract, and what you completely miss. The Kybalion, which is the foundational text of Hermetic philosophy, laid out 7 principles that explain exactly how this works. We're going to walk through all of it today, and by the time we're done, you're going to have a completely different understanding of why your life looks the way it does right now. So stay with me, because this one's going to change how you see everything. There is going to be a little woo-woo. So if you're not into the woo-woo, smash that like button, kick rocks, okay? I'm going to try to minimize the woo-woo and try to keep things in the context of neuroscience and what am I looking at? Physics. Yeah. So physics and neuroscience. We're going to try to keep things in those 2 areas today as much as possible, but for context, we will sprinkle in a little bit of religious belief just so that you get the full picture, okay? You don't have to be religious to believe any of this, because we're going to talk about it from a scientific perspective. Erkin, if you're watching. So heaven and hell, they're not places, they're states you live in right now. I just finished reading a book called The Life Force and How to Use It, written by a woman named Elizabeth Town. I think it was written in 1906. Great book, phenomenal book. If you guys are in the Wolf Pack, it's available for free in the gratitude group. I drop those types of audiobooks in the gratitude group all the time, because in the gratitude group is where we're really working on our mental health. That's really why it's in there. All right. But one of the things that she brings up is that, the Bible says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. Okay. If you've, at least even gone to Sunday school once in your life, you've probably heard that, right? The kingdom of heaven is within you. But one of the things that she brings up in that book is, so is hell, right? Heaven's not out here. It's not cloud in the sky. It's in you right now. Okay. But so is hell. So is hell. All right. Now let's take a look at Dr. David Hawkins' scale. I have another book I'm working on right now. I'm not going to do a whole lot of promotion for it, like I did with the new book. But this one, I was working alongside it, along with you know, the one I can't name until the 8-minute mark, right? And the new book's going to be called The Kybalion Revisited, which really tries to marry what we know in science now with what the Hermetics believed. And so it's called The Kybalion Revisited. I'm hoping to have this out in August. But I have Dr. Hawkins' scale in the book here, okay? So this is the scale. And he talks about this in a bunch of his different books. He's got one called Power versus Force and stuff like that. Okay. But if you look at the scale, shame is around 20. You can see in the middle there, the scale. This is a logarithmic scale that he was able to come up with. And he's able to measure this stuff through things like EEGs, EKGs, you know, various things like that. You can sense, you know, how the body is physiologically reacting to your emotions. Okay. So he was able to come up with a scale, and the scale, when you're feeling like crap, you're down here. Okay. And then if you're feeling good, you're up here. Okay. So shame at 20, guilt at 30, apathy at 50. All right. It's a measurable descriptor of what it's like inside a man running those states full time. You're literally, when you're down here, despising, vindictive, condemning, disdainful, punitive, denying, vengeful, even indifference, right? Now, we talk about it in the space. Indifference makes a difference, right? Indifference makes a difference. The thing is that the reason why that's so helpful is because when you can't mentally get up here because you're down here, at least this is getting close. At least this is getting close. It's you know, when you're in a negative state, it's pretty easy to be able to get yourself at least to in a different state, right? But you're still in hell. You're still in hell. That's one of the reasons why when I talk about handling, you know, frame checks, we can't say, or shish tests, right? I often say, you know, do agree and amplify. Agree and amplify is, you know, it's more up here because it's fun. It's fun and playful to do agree and amplify, right? So you're more up here having fun, but if you just can't get there, indifference is the next best thing, right? Because you can at least get there because you're probably living down here most of the time. Okay. So here's the thing. I want you to, at least for today, you know, if you have certain religious beliefs and you believe that if you're a sinner, you go to the HE double hockey sticks and you go to the fiery place. Okay. I want you to, sure, you can keep believing that. Okay. But I want you to also think about what if your current reality and you're down here, you're already in hell. You're already in hell, brother. Think about that for a second, okay? Now, as you're pondering that, do be sure to like, subscribe, hit those notifications. We do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Fridays are always Frame Fridays, where we talk about our mental health and how we see things and you know, controlling our mental states. A lot of the time, that's a big part of Frame, right? It's one of the 4 pillars of Frame, controlling your emotions, right? So that's what we're talking about today. Now, there's the first principle of Hermeticism is the principle of mentalism. Okay. The universe is mental. The all is mind. The universe is mental. Okay. Now we're going to get into some weird stuff today that makes you realize that your universe, your reality, you're the only one experiencing it. I'm not experiencing your reality. You are literally experiencing your own reality, and you're the only one experiencing it. For you, your universe, the all is mind. And we'll get into that more in a minute, okay? Now, the Kybalion opens with the all is mind, the universe is mental. Everything you experience as external reality started as a mental event inside you. And we'll get into the neuroscience about why this is absolutely true. This isn't woo-woo. All right. I'm trying not to get too woo-woo today. All right. But Dr. Snyder backs it up from neuroscience. Okay. Your brain is constantly building a model of the world from vibrational data, filtered through your beliefs, you never saw reality directly. Never. You've never seen it. Okay. I want you to think about this for a second. Okay. We have 5 senses, right? We have touch, we have smell, we have taste, we have vision, we have hearing, right? All that's out here is vibrational data, comes in the form of sound waves or light waves, right? And so forth. That's all being interpreted by different senses, by those 5 senses. It's interpreting that data, okay? Then it goes into your mind, and then it filters that data through your beliefs, through your feelings. Sometimes it actually creates the feeling. Okay, that's why we'll get into the principle of correspondence. As above, so below, but as above, so below, but as below, so above. All right, as within, so without. As without, so within. The external world will affect you. Okay, so but that's all vibrational data, and it's being filtered through your subconscious beliefs, your previous experiences. And all of that stuff gets filtered up to your cognitive mind to make some rationality of it, and it creates the map of the world for you. Okay. What's actually interpreting all this data out here is in a dark cavity inside bone. It's not seeing it directly. It's seeing it through your 5 senses. You understand? The all literally is mind in your universe. So the practical point, if your internal mental state is running at fear or shame, that's the model your brain is using to construct your experience of everything. Your relationship, your finances, your self-image. It's all this data that's out here is being filtered through your emotional state, right? And through your beliefs and all this kind of stuff. And that's what you see. That's all you see right now. So if you're down here, okay, you're going to start seeing a lot of more negative stuff that just supports the current reality that your mind believes at this moment. So it's just going to point out things that give more evidence to the conclusion that your mind's come up with. That's why when you're in a negative state, you keep feeling negative and it's really hard to get out. It's also, we do have a negativity bias. Okay. We have a negativity bias where Dr. Snyder says that it basically takes 4 good things to negate 1 bad thing, right? So if you have a bad experience, in order to get out of it, you have to think of at least 4 good things to start getting out of it. It takes effort to get out of it. It feels easy to stay down here in hell. Hell's easy, right? So this is why controlling your state is important, because if you can control your state, and when we talk about state, we're talking about your emotional state, right? Your mental state. When you can control your state, you control reality. You feel me, dog? If you can control your state, you control reality. And the feelings in your body change your perceptual filters, and those filters determine what your unconscious pulls into your conscious awareness. Okay. We call this the reticular activating system, right? But it's not magic. It's how your nervous system's actually wired. Okay. When you start feeling good, the same thing down here, your mind's going to start looking for evidence to make yourself keep feeling good. Okay. Now, the problem is that most of us are spending most of our time down here. So when we have a good experience, it flows to and through us and we just let it go. And we're back in here immediately, right? So if you don't control this, it's controlling you. But if you learn how to control it, you can stay up here more and you'll start seeing more positive things in your life. It's not woo-woo. It's not magic. Your brain's just now looking for more of these types of things, okay? Think about this. 2 men walk into the same room. One is operating at courage, which is, where is courage at? Let's see here. Courage it's right here, just above indifference, right? 200. One guy's operating at courage. Okay. The other is operating down here, right? At 100, where he's in the state of fear. He's frightened. He's afraid of something, right? Think about that. Now, when they see the same room, they're experiencing that reality differently. Because this guy, he's got courage. So it's not the absence of fear, it's being able to act in the presence of fear. This guy down here, he's not even going to be able to act. He's too afraid. You understand? Same room, same situation. Think of it from a wartime situation, right? If any of you guys are veterans out there, and you've actually seen combat and you survived it, God bless you. But if you've seen that in action, you've probably seen where one of your platoon mates is in such a state of fear he can't act. But you, even despite the fear, were able to act, right? You saw the situation slightly differently because of your mental state. You feel me? So your state isn't just your mood. It's the lens that decides what opportunities you see, what threats you notice, and what you assume about the people sitting across from you, including your wife. Okay. Think about that because a lot of you guys tune in the podcast for relationship type advice. Okay. Your feelings about her are going to filter how you see her. This is why I say, if you're constantly in a state of resentment, right? If you're constantly in a state of resentment, which is all down here, disdainful, condemning, right? Like a lot of guys in wolf pack that are frustrated with their current marriage situation, they're down here. They fucking hate their wife. That fucking bitch, she's doing blah, 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 blah. Well, if you're down here, that's how, like, your reality out here is filtering that story. That's why I say you got to be careful of the story you're telling yourself about what's actually happening. Because you're now seeing her with more of this, and it just becomes evidence. It just becomes evidence for you that everything's shitty right now, right? Fuck this. I'm just going to get a divorce. Fuck this, right? But if you never work on this stuff, you're just going to have the same problem down the road. This is why I say you've got to do the work. Okay. If you don't want to keep getting the same results, you have to work on this shit, whether it's with your wife or the next wife. You've got to work on this shit. Okay. You can't just dump her and move on because you've never handled any of this stuff. You're going to have the same experience. You're going to keep living in hell. Right. So let's talk about the principle of vibration. This is another Hermetic principle. And it's funny because Rollo talked about it on Twitter a couple of days ago. Rollo hates the woo-woo, right? And someone asked a lady, some lady's podcast. She's like, "What foods raise my vibration?" Like, foods don't raise your vibration. Okay, I'll just tell you right now. It doesn't work that way, right? But she's like, "What foods, raise my vibration?" And Rollo quote tweeted and said, "What the fuck is a vibration?" Okay. The concept of vibrations comes from the Hermetic principles, the law of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. Okay. Now, if you think about that from a physics standpoint, it's true, right? Matter, energy, thought, emotion, high vibration and low vibration. It's not spiritual woo-woo. They actually talk about how we experience reality, right? Sound waves, light waves, right? Vibrations from impacts, right? You take two books, right? Clap them together. They create a sound vibration, but they also create a force vibration that you can feel with your touch. Everything vibrates at a certain level, okay? So your five senses are picking up vibrational data constantly. Your brain converts that data into what you call reality. So if you change the vibration you're putting out, and you end up actually changing the vibration that's coming back in. Okay. 99% of the time. Think about this. Okay. Think about, for you guys could corroborate this. The guys that have been working on your marriage for a while, you guys have been reading, you know, get her to fuck you again for a while, doing the workbook and all that kind of stuff, right? You guys have noticed when you apply the tools, you know, fogging, negative inquiry, all the stuff, you know, Luca model, agree and amplify, be indifferent, and all that stuff. You notice how when your wife comes at you from one of these states, it changes the dynamic for her because of how you are showing up from your emotional state. Change your state, change your reality. All right. The man stuck in grief, which is down here around the 75 mark, and the man operating from acceptance, which is up here, right? The acceptance mark, 350. They're not just feeling different things. They're vibrating at different rates and attracting correspondingly different experiences. Okay. This is why so much in the wolf pack is me getting guys out of their resentment. And I'm like, you just can't let it go, can you? You just can't let it go. Because that resentment's keeping you down here, and it's keeping you in a reality of hell. And as long as you stay down here in your own mental state, this is how you're going to see everything. This is going to how you're going to see your relationships. This is how you're going to see your job. Okay. I want you to think about this. You have a job you hate right now. Okay. Think about this. Let's say you have a job you hate right now. And I'm sure a lot of you guys out there hate your job. You go to work. Can't stand your boss. Your boss doesn't know anything. Your coworkers are stupid. You got people coming at you all the time. You're working overtime. You're always doing all this stuff and you're stressed out. You don't have any time. You don't have any free time, right? They're not paying you enough. You have all these things that you hate about your job. Okay. So as you go into your job, you start to realize that you hate it more and more every day, right? But think of a job that you loved. Maybe you've never loved any of the jobs. I don't know. But think of a job that you love, or think of a job that you would love for a minute. Okay. You would enjoy doing it. Maybe it's a job at your house that you like to do. Maybe you like tinkering in the garage or something like that. Okay. Whatever it is that you love to do, you notice how it's effortless. It feels good because you already love to do it, right? What if you learned to start appreciating your job? You start thinking about things that you're grateful for about your job, okay? Because gratitude lives up here. So if you start thinking of things that you appreciate that you even have a job in this economy. A lot of guys are getting laid off right now, right? You appreciate the income that comes in every 2 weeks or once a month or every two times a month, however you get paid. Think about how great that is. How you're able to put food on the table because of your job. Okay. If you start thinking of it more positively, when you go into to the job, you're going to feel differently in the job because you're now looking at it from a positive standpoint. You're now experiencing heaven when you're at work. This is why they say, if you love what you do, you won't experience, you won't work a day in your life, right? But you get to actually choose whether you really love it or not. That is a choice you make. And you think, oh, no, the work sucks. That's because you've told yourself it sucks all the time, okay? If you can start thinking of reasons why it doesn't suck and get yourself to change how you see things, you'll start feeling differently in that job. Control your state, control your reality. All right. Now take a second and actually think about this. If Hawkins scale is accurate, and the research says it is, what number have you been living at for the last 6 months? Not your best day, your average day, because that average is what's building your life right now, whether you're aware of it or not. Drop a number in the chat or in the comments. I want to see where everybody is. And if you want to tell me what's been keeping you there, super chat it and we'll get into it. Okay. But take a look at these numbers here. Drop that number in the chat. Okay. If you can't see it, just do a Google search for Hawkins scale. It's all pretty, it's available everywhere. So perceptual filters are the real law of attraction. Your perceptual filters is how the law of attraction really works from a neuroscience level, from a physics level. Okay. My mentor, Dr. Snyder, he did a study once. Okay. Because one of the things that he talks about, he does a lot of stuff where he talks about law of attraction and how it really works. And it's fascinating. I dropped one of his lectures in the gratitude group. And if you guys haven't watched that, it's definitely worth the watch. It'll fundamentally blow your fucking mind. Okay. But one of the things that he talks about when he's talking about law of attraction is the idea of lucky people, right? I want you to think of someone that you know who's lucky, who like if $1,000 fell out of the sky, it would land in the backseat of their car, right? If they're walking down the street and they stepped in dog shit, when they picked up their shoe to clean off the shit, there would be a fucking diamond ring in it, right? These are lucky people. Okay. Dr. Snyder did a test, right? He did a test where he put a $20 bill on a restaurant floor. Okay. Self-identified lucky people found it almost every single time, right? Average people found it about half the time. The unlucky ones, the guys living down here, guys like my dad who would say, oh, if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck at all, right? Guys like my dad, they never fucking saw it. They never saw the $20 bill, even though their eyes passed right over it. Okay. One of the things that I found really fascinating when I took my motorcycle course to get, motorcycle safety course to get my motorcycle endorsement. Because yes, I ride motorcycles, baby. Chicks dig them, right? But I went and did this course, and one of the things that they had us do was watch a video. And I would show it here, but I'd probably get a copyright strike. But there's this really great video. Do a search for it on YouTube sometime. But there's a video where just to show you that our minds filter out all sorts of shit, right? They had like people in a basketball court. They had like, maybe a dozen people bouncing balls, dribbling balls. And you were invited to watch them dribble balls and try to count how many times they were dribbling balls. So you're sitting there focusing on them dribbling balls, right? And then they go, did you see the guy in the gorilla suit walk by? And you're like, what? Get the fuck out of here. There's no guy in a gorilla suit. They rewind it. And a fucking guy walks through in a gorilla suit. Right? It's because your mind filtered it out. Your mind filters out what it doesn't find important. That's your reticular activating system keeping you sane. We have billions of data coming into us through our senses at all times. And if you absorbed all that, your mind would crack. It was too much data. So we have a filter called the reticular activating system that only shows us what's important to us. And that's all filtered, right? That's all filtered through our beliefs, through our feelings, our emotions, our experiences. So if you're living down here, you're only going to see the negative shit and you're going to stay in that negative state. You feel me? So going back to the $20 bill, the money was always there. The difference was the perceptual filter. Okay. Your dominant emotional state determines what your unconscious hands to your conscious mind and what it throws in the trash. So this is why two guys can have identical circumstances, same job, same city, same type of girlfriend, two guys in the wolf pack working on their marriage. One guy's getting results. One guy's still stuck in the same fucking place every month, asking the same questions all the time. Okay. Your dominant emotional state determines what your unconscious hands to your conscious mind and what it throws in the trash. This is why they can have the same experience, same job, same city, same girlfriend, same dead bedroom situation. And one of them has a great life and one is completely miserable. The external world isn't the variable here. your mental filters are. Your state is the filter, okay? So this goes to the principle of correspondence. As within, so without, as above, so below, okay? What's happening in your inner world is showing up in your outer world. Your relationship, your finances, your social circle, all of it is a reflection of what's in here, okay? Now, one thing that physics also tells us is that time is an illusion, that all things exist simultaneously, right? So, but the only things that you're able to see are based on what's here, okay? So what's showing up out here, all the good stuff is out here too. You're just not seeing it because you're stuck down here. If you want to know what's running at the subconscious level, you can't examine your thoughts, right? You have to look at your results. Your life is the printout. Okay. Most men try to fix the printout without changing the program. And that's why the same patterns keep showing up with different women, different jobs, different circumstances. Okay. There was something I wanted to say about this. Now I just lost track of where I was going. Let's see here. Let's see. If you want to know what's running your that's what I was going to say. One of the things that if you look at a lot of the woo-woo level law of attraction type stuff, what they'll tell you is thoughts become things. They'll tell you stuff like what you think about most is what you attract into your life. Okay. But what they don't tell you is that those aren't conscious thoughts. It's the thoughts you don't know about in your subconscious that's attracting that stuff. Okay. We'll get into that here in a minute. I got an exercise for you guys to try this out. Okay. But one of the reasons why, a good explanation for this is like, I often talk about how we have basically the mind split in two. You have conscious mind, subconscious mind, but it's actually more complex than that. It's when we talk about conscious mind, subconscious mind at that level, we're really trying to break it down into an accessible way to describe things. Okay. But if you really think about it, our minds are actually three minds. Okay. We have the reptile brain, or the lizard brain, I call it a lot, or the monkey brain, I call it a lot. Okay. That is our primal drives. Okay. That's where, like, why we want to fuck, why we want to fight, right? That's fight or flight or freeze exists in that area, right? The Russians call it the paleocortex. Okay. Then we have the emotional brain, which wraps feelings around those drives. Okay. This is why if you have an inkling of fear, you will like your physiology will change, your heart will start pounding, you'll have a rush, a feeling of fear. Okay. But that's instinct driven by the lizard brain. Okay. And then your emotional brain wraps a feeling around it as an indicator of what to do. Okay. And then you have the neocortex, right? Or the new cortex. Okay. That's the part that makes up a story to justify what the other two already decided. Okay. The neocortex thinks it's running the show, but it's not. It's not. That's why you guys think that you're all being rational all the time. Maybe you've read The Rational Male by my good friend Rollo Tomasi, right? And you think you're being rational. The thing is, our rational minds lie to us fucking constantly. They lie to us constantly. They make up stories. Okay. If I were to tell you, as you're listening to the sound of my voice and you're watching this show and you're actually getting some information about this, that you sitting here will actually make you better at being able to control your emotional state and all that kind of stuff, because you're now learning how those vibrations actually impact you and how your state actually controls your reality, right? You would know that was true, wouldn't you? Why would that be true? Just think about that. Why would that be true for you? Now, as you're thinking of reasons why that's true for you, I want you to realize that those reasons are absolutely true for you. But the statement I made right before that is logically not true. I want you to think about that for a second. You just sitting here listening to me does not give you the power to change all this. Okay. But the reasons that you came up with to rationalize why what I just said was true are true for you. And you will never argue with the conclusions you come up with. But that's called the rationality faculty. Okay. You just took the data I sent you through my sound vibrations. And if you're watching right now through the light vibrations, and you made up a story. You are not rational as you think you are. So Dr. Hawkins, going back to the scale here, desire 125, anger 150, pride 175 are reptile and emotional brain territory. You can't think your way out of them with the very brain that's downstream from the problem. Okay. State change is a body first operation. This is one of the fascinating things that that Dr. Snyder taught me, is that if you really want to change your state, change your posture first. Get the meat involved, the bodysuit, get the meat suit involved. If you get the meat involved, you can immediately get a state change. If you are down here, all right, I want you to become aware of your body posture right now. Are you hunched over a little bit? Are you sort of like crossing your arms like this? Is your head down? Because if you're down here, like it just feels bad, right? But if you uncross your arms and straighten up, notice how your state changes. Instant state change. And then once you get to that part, now you can start working on this stuff. Okay. But get the meat suit involved first. And then you can actually start getting out of it, because it takes you out of your animal brain. It takes you out of the emotional brain. You understand? So state change is a body first operation. Change your posture and your breathing, and you'll change your state. Okay. The body leads, the physiology follows. There's a technique I also learned, which I've done to clients before, especially when like they'll reach out to me and they're fucking spiraling, right? They're absolutely spiraling. There's an instant state change technique that I learned in NLP. That's just as simple as stopping what you're doing, start naming off everything that you can see in the room, right? Just start naming everything that you can see in the room. And after you've done about, 10 of those things, start listening to the sounds you're hearing, and then start naming off all the sounds you hear. Like I can hear a fan in the background, for instance, right? Start naming off all the things that you can hear. Then smell. What does the air smell like? Start thinking about that. Okay. That brings you into the present moment, out of your head, into the present moment. That's an instant state change also. But combine that with changing your posture. It's a game changer, bro. Game changer. Now, real quick, before we keep going, I want to tell you about something, because today is actually a big day. If you've been listening to everything we've covered so far about how your internal state determines your reality, about the man you're capable of being, then you already know that everything connects. The bedroom is no different. Dick Her Down Right is available right now. Today, paperback, hardcover, and Kindle. The link is in the description. It's also pinned in the chat right now. I'll drop it again here in a second. Or you can go straight to Amazon and do a search for Dick Her Down Right, and it'll come right up. This is the book that covers what nobody ever handed you. Eric Everhard wrote the foreword. My girl edited it. And if that combination doesn't tell you exactly what kind of book this is, stick around for the next 90 seconds. Yeah, 60 seconds, 90 seconds or so, and you'll see for yourself. Watch this.
Have you ever had sex and honestly wondered, did she actually enjoy that, or was she just going along with it? because chances are she's had better and she remembers it. What if I told you there's a way to make sure you're the one she can't stop thinking about? Most guys think good sex is about stamina or size. It's not. The men women are genuinely obsessed with aren't the biggest or the longest lasting. They're the ones who know exactly what they're doing. They're not fumbling around hoping something works. They walk in with a plan. They read her body. They control the whole experience from the first move to the last. And when it's over, she's not thinking about sleep. That's not some rare natural talent. That's a skill set, and it can be learned. Dick Her Down Right is the no-nonsense manual that breaks down exactly how women's bodies and minds work during sex, how to take charge of the experience like you actually know what you're doing, and how to become the man she's telling her friends about. Not the guy she had an okay time with, the guy she keeps coming back to, the guy she'd do almost anything to keep happy because what he does to her is in a category by itself. Every technique, every approach, every psychological principle is laid out straight. No theory, no filler, just the real information that makes the difference between average and unforgettable. Dick Her Down Right drops on Amazon and Audible this June. Any man who wants to be better in bed and have any woman he's with completely hooked on him needs this book. Get it in June.
I just realized that I didn't upload the latest version of that, which says it's out, because it's out today. Today it dropped, so it's available in paperback and hardcover. You can go ahead and get it today, guys. But I want you to sit with this for a second. Everything we've talked about today, the states you run, the filters your brain uses to build your reality, the man you're projecting into every room you walk into, all of that shows up in the bedroom too. Actually, that's where it shows up the most. The audiobook is coming June 5th, narrated by me, and I want you to have that date locked into your head right now because you're going to want it. But here's what I'd suggest, and I say this because it actually works. When the audiobook drops, the men who get the most out of it are going to be the ones who already have the paperback or the Kindle edition in their hands, because what you hear goes in through your ears, but what you read and hear at the same time goes somewhere deeper. That's not a sales pitch. That's how your subconscious actually cements new information. Repetition through multiple senses is how something stops being knowledge and starts being instinct. So if you want to be the man that the chapter covers on being the man that always delivers, not just understanding him intellectually, but actually becoming him, grab the book now while you're thinking about it. The link's still in the description and it's still in the chat. Paperback, hardcover, and Kindle, your call. Get it today, okay? Let's take a look at the chat real quick. Let me put down Dr. Hawkins' scale here for a minute. I'll tell you this. I started listening to Power versus Force on audio. I couldn't finish it because that's one of Dr. David Hawkins' books where he reads it himself, and his voice is atrocious for audiobooks. It's one of the few times where you're like, I wish the author didn't read this. His other books are really good. His book, Letting Go, is a fucking game changer of a book. Just FYI. Wade Emery sent fire. Fuck yeah, bro. And then the Order of Fett, let's go. Let's see. CW's in the house. Gents, what's good? Dar Fitness in the house. Happy Friday, gents. Smashing that like button is alpha. That's true. Basio El Mucho sent $10,000. Very useful info. Thanks for that, brother. I'm going to give you this one.
I was just going to say it. This guy fucks. Am I right?
Definitely fucks, bro. What else we got here? Devil Dog, or Devil, does it say Devil Doc? Devil Doc says, happy Friday, gents. Nurse Chick's in the house. She says, good morning, gentlemen. Nurse Chick gets this.
I'm so naughty.
She is.
I'm gonna come.
Oh, I will.
That pussy must be ridiculous.
Absolutely ridiculous, guys. Nurse Chick's oldest son is shipping off for the Marines on Sunday or Monday. So guys, wish him well out there. I had an opportunity to talk with him on Monday. Nurse Chick and I are planning on taking him out tomorrow night, but at least I got the opportunity, if I don't get a chance to, I got the opportunity to talk to him in a way that my karate sensei got to talk to me before I left for the Navy. That conversation carried me through boot camp. So I tried to instill some of those ideas in her son so that he makes it through boot camp, no problem. Right. Because one of the things I told him, I said, look, I go, when you get out there, when you actually get to boot camp, you are going to meet some of the dumbest bags of rocks on the fucking planet. I never expected to meet the dumb motherfuckers that I met when I joined the Navy that I did. And I go, and if they can get through fucking boot camp, you can get through boot camp. Just don't quit. Just don't quit. Right? You can do this. Any challenge that they throw at you, they're yelling at you, feels like shit. They're making it fucking rain from the ceiling because they're working your ass so hard. You can do this. Okay. So I want you guys to think about that same sort of thing when we're talking about your relationship right now too. Okay. You can fucking do this. The Order of Fett also says this is a good episode, and this is Steve, by the way. Hey, brother Steve, good to see you, man. Sometimes if you're in the chat enough, I actually know names to handles. So if you keep commenting, Steve, I'll be able to associate the Order of Fett to Steve. Basio El Mucho, this is Shreddy Eddie, guys. This guy's a fucking legend in Wolfpack. If you listen closely, you can still hear the clanging of weights in the distance as he's fucking getting shredded out there. He also sent a $5,000 super chat. He goes, since working on these concepts, I have magically drawn better people to me. That's true. That's true. It's fucking true, right? I'm also going to give him this one.
Respect the cock and tame the cunt.
That's what we do on this channel, guys. All right, let's get back into it. Now, here's something that I learned from Dr. David Snyder. There's this thing called the emotional refractory period. Okay, it's why you keep fighting the same fight, right? Now, he's quoting a guy named Paul Ekman. And Paul Ekman, he did some research. And he said, when you go into an emotional state, your perceptual filters shift and stay shifted for the entire window. You're only consciously registering information that reinforces the state you're already in. Right? This is why when you stub your toe in the morning, like now, like when you go and find the toothpaste, it's fucking empty, right? And that fucking pisses you off. And fuck, I forgot to put the goddamn coffee pot on timer. Fuck. Now I gotta make fuck. Now I'm running late to work. And then you get in your car. Fuck. Now I'm hitting all red lights. Right? It's because your state is now looking for shit to keep you in that state. Okay. So this is why an argument with your wife or your girlfriend never ends cleanly at the resolution. For the next 20 minutes, everything you say gets processed through the filter of that fight. Everything you say or you do, you go out, you get done fighting with her, you're still pissed off. You go out in the garage, you want to smash some shit, right? It's because you're not over it yet. Your body's still looking for reasons to be pissed because you're in a pissed off state. Okay. So the fix isn't to say the right words, right? Start saying affirmations really fucking quick because you're just going to get pissed off that you even have to say fucking affirmations, right? The fix is to be aware of the filter. To become aware of the filter. You understand? And your filter right now is still altered, and trying to logic your way through it only pisses you off more, right? This is why people that practice affirmations, because I'm a big fan of affirmations. And what you're really doing with affirmations is you're really doing a form of self-hypnosis. It's just repetition, 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 right? And that repetition does work. It just takes a long time and it's a grind. And so a lot of guys don't want to do it. So that when they sit down and they look at it like, oh, fuck, this is something I have to do. It has a hard time working because you're pissed off that you even have to do it, right? So you got to realize that you got to change the filter before you sit down to start doing that. And when you change the filter before you start sitting down doing that and you get into a more positive state, it's going to seep in better because you're enjoying it. You understand? All right. So you got to change the state first. And what did I say at the beginning? How do you change your state quickly? get the meat suit involved. Change your posture. Change your posture. Do the stop, look, listen, and smell. Okay. Stop, look, listen, and smell. Change your posture. Stop, look, listen, and smell. Change your state. Then do the affirmations. You feel me? All right. So let's talk about the principle of polarity, because this is also a Hermetic principle. And once you understand this stuff from a fundamental level, at a deep level, you see how they all fit together to control the mind. The all is mind, the universe is mental, right? You're the only one experiencing your universe. You are the God of your universe, okay? You're the only one experiencing it. No one else is experiencing it. You're it, okay? So all these tools are used to help you control your state, to control your mental state, which controls the vibrations and shit, right? So the principle of polarity is you got to understand that heaven and hell are really the same thing, just differing in degree. Okay, so the Kybalion says everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Hot and cold are the same thing. Courage and fear are the same energy at different intensities. Okay, so let's go back to Hawkins scale so you can get a visual of this. That's not what I want. I want images, and we want Hawkins scale. Okay, so let's take a look at this so you can understand. This is a spectrum. Right? This is a spectrum. And if you look way up here, right, Enlightenment is a scale of 700 to 1,000. It actually goes 700 to infinity. Once you get it up there, it just goes forever. Okay. Now, what's fascinating is if you look at it just from this scale, though, right, it's all one continuous scale, just differing in degree. And the polar opposites, you have 20 at the bottom being shame, and then you have enlightenment at the top being, around 1,000. Polar opposites, okay, differing in degree. And as you go up the scale, you'll notice that even when you get to apathy, getting to apathy is better than being in shame. This is why we say indifference makes a difference, right? Indifference brings you up higher in the scale. Okay, which means that you're at a higher vibration than these things down here. You're starting to feel a little bit better. Okay, you're still not quite there yet, right? Until you just cross that threshold, but you're getting up there. That's why we say, get to indifference. If you can, get to indifference, right? So Hawkins places courage at 200, the exact threshold between force and power, because the lower states and between the higher states and lower states, courage is the absence of fear. It's the same energy transmuted upward, right? So if you're down here in fear, and a lot of you guys are afraid of losing your marriage. You're afraid of, if you lose your marriage, you're going to get swindled and divorced, right? You're afraid. We got a brother in Wolfpack who unfortunately left all the Telegram groups because he felt called out on a podcast. I'll tell you what, all right, if I ever call out one of your guys' negative situations, I never use your name. I always keep you anonymous. And it's because other people are going through what you're going through. And it's a lesson that other people can learn from, or at least feel like they're not alone in it. Okay. It's not to dress you down. It's not to whatever. It's so that you can understand how it's not helpful. Whatever your situation is, it's not helpful. And I tell you how to get out of it. Okay. But my man, he's in a really terrible situation with his marriage. And I think it's at a place where the house is not even, the house is burned to the fucking ground. Right. But he's still there because he's afraid. He's afraid of leaving when he knows he needs to. He's afraid. He's afraid for various reasons. His mind's making up reasons why he can't. Okay. Right. One of the things that he said in one of the Wolfpack hangouts was that he was afraid that if he got divorced, his wife would start dating all sorts of abusive men and his daughter would be pulled into that. Like, that might happen, but you don't know the future. You don't fucking know. Okay. So that fear of a future thing that probably won't even happen, you're making up in your fucking mind right now. Okay. But he's in a state here of fear. But if he could just transmute that same feeling to courage, he would be above the line. He would start getting into his own power. He'll start being able to make changes for himself and his daughter that would be better. But he can't see it because he's stuck in hell. So understanding that this is all a scale, right? They're just differing in degree. If you can understand that, you can change that. You hear me? You feel me, dog? The Hermeticists called this mental transmutation, right? You don't eliminate the low states. You learn to move up the scale deliberately. One of the best ways to do that is to understand how the scale works and focus on the polar opposite. The polar opposite, okay? Now, I did say that fear is essentially the same energy, the same vibrational energy as courage. It's just how you look at it. Okay. So if you're down here, the way to transmute that into courage is to focus on courage. Focus on things that would make you more courageous. Okay. Things like, I can do this. Saying I can, right? Talking about Nurse Chick's son going into the Marines. I'm like, anytime things are hard, tell yourself, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. That gives you courage. You understand? Now, I did say we have a negativity bias, and it takes about 4 times to say something to negate that one bad feeling, right? So you have to say this a lot. Focus on that. The thing is we can't feel multiple feelings at once. We can only feel one thing at a time. So if you're down here feeling this, that's what you're feeling right now. So you got to shift your focus to something else, something above the line. And you focus on that and start thinking about things that make you feel that. You'll start slowly rising up the scale. That's mental transmutation. Okay? That's all the Hermeticists were teaching us, is to control our state. Control your state, control your reality. Okay? Your dominant thoughts are not the ones you're aware of. Okay? Now here, I mentioned this, I teased this before. I said we have an exercise to do. Okay? Now, I want you guys to say this with me. And if you guys are around other people, maybe you're listening with earbuds, say it to yourself, okay? But I want you to play along with me because it's going to be a fun exercise. Because I am a big fan of affirmations, right? I talk about it all the time. I talk about them in my books. But let me show you why affirmations might not be working for you right now, okay? I want you to say, I am now earning $1 million a year. And say it again. I am now earning $1 million a year. Say it with feeling. I am now earning $1 million a year. Again, I am now earning $1 million a year. Okay. Now think about your feelings right at the moment. Feels pretty good. Feels pretty good to say it. But do any of you guys have, I don't know, like an inkling in the back of your mind, just like an itch that almost says that's not true? Just a little voice saying, yeah, but that's not true. Be honest with yourself. Okay. Welcome to the world of your unconscious thoughts. That's what's keeping you from actually making $1 million a year. The unconscious programs are controlling your life. Okay. This is why you can want to fix your marriage. This is why you can want to have a better job. This is why you can want to make more money and you still fucking can't. Because something back there that you are unaware of is keeping you from doing it for whatever reason. All right. So your conscious affirmations sit on top of a subconscious program that's been running since before you were 5 years old. Okay. until both are pointed in the same direction. You're stepping on the gas with the fucking parking brake on. You're not going anywhere. All right. So this is where Hawkins scale gets useful as a diagnostic. Your actual dominant vibrational state isn't what you say to yourself. It's what your life looks at like after 12 months. Okay. And if you're still on a daily basis feeling down here a lot, that's producing your reality. We have a brother in Wolfpack who's actually been making tremendous strides in his relationship. Like he posts updates frequently. Things are getting much better in his marriage and stuff like that. But he will still post how various things piss him off. Oh, that fucking pissed me off today. Oh, this fucking shit. I felt slighted because of right? You're living down here. If that's you, if things are pissing you off, we're going to talk about it here in a minute, the law of rhythm. Those external circumstances are controlling you and keeping you down here. They want to keep you down here. Okay? That's the devil. Or maybe it's not, right? But it's our negativity bias keeping us down here, right? It's going to keep pointing out things that piss you off until you understand it and you can start controlling your state. Then you control your reality. Okay? Now, you've been here the whole time. You got all this for free, and you already know whether it was worth something to you. So if it was, Super Chat says so, and it keeps the show going. So do consider sending a Super Chat, would you? So let's talk about the principle of cause and effect. All right. You are not the victim of circumstances. The Kybalion says chance is just a name for unrecognizable law. Nothing happens by accident. Everything has a cause. Every cause produces an effect. Okay. Most men operating below 200 on Hawkins scale are running a victim program. A lot of the guys in the comments on Facebook are running a victim program. Right? Whenever I post anything about women and guys start fucking losing their minds in the comments, getting all angry about it, they are operating from a victim mentality. Okay. So if you're below the 200 mark, right? You're sort of living that way. So most men operating below 200 are running a victim program. Life happens to them. Their girlfriend is the problem. Their boss is the problem. The economy is the problem. But above 200, the same man starts recognizing himself as the cause. You've attracted everything into your world, good or bad. Everything. Everything negative in your life, you've attracted it. Everything positive in your life, you've also attracted it. Okay? You are not a victim. You are the cause. Once you realize that, once you understand that you are the cause, you can start being the cause of a better life. Think about that for a second. Above 200, the same man starts recognizing himself as the cause, not just an effect. That single mental pivot is what the Kybalion means by rising above the lower planes of causation and operating from the higher ones. Okay, which we're going to talk more to when we talk about the principle of rhythm. Okay, but let's talk about why lucky people are lucky. Right? We mentioned the $20 experiment. Right? The $20 on the ground, and self-identified lucky people found it almost every time. Right? Average people found it about half the time. And people that are down here, that life sucks, and then you fucking die, they never found it. Right? So why are lucky people lucky? It has nothing to do with luck. Lucky people share five key traits. Right? They identify as lucky. They've built an identity around it. Now, here's the powerful thing about identity. Once you've identified with something, your body has a hard time getting rid of it. When you've identified with something, you would rather lose a fucking arm than lose a piece of your own identity. This is why people who are smokers and they say, I am a smoker, it's hard for them to quit because it's an identity. When you use I am statements, it's an identity. And you would rather lose your fucking arm than lose a piece of your identity from subconsciously. Okay. Now you might cognitively know you want to quit smoking, but you won't because you've identified with it as a smoker. I am a smoker, right? If you can reframe that to something that you do or something that you did instead of something that you are, now you can change it. Think about that for a second, okay? Same thing is, I am a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. You've identified as a nice guy, and it's not giving you the results you want in life because of nice guy syndrome. So you got to change it. I do nice guy things. I do nice guy things. I need to change this, right? Now you can change the behavior, right? So they identify as being lucky. Lucky people self-identify as being lucky. They're action takers. They're relentless. They're social. They're social and they're open, right? They talk to other people. And they're optimistic by default. If you want more serendipity in your life, if you want to find $20 bills laying around because some guy's doing a test, self-identify as being lucky, be more optimistic. If you're optimistic, you're way up here. You're living up here in heaven, in the high vibrations, okay? If you're more social, you get around people, you stop being a fucking recluse and I fucking hate people, fuck that, fuck hate people, right? Get around more people, start talking to them, be social, okay? And they're relentless. They don't know what quit is. Right. That's oftentimes on the podcast. I always talk about, like, I don't work with quitters, right? No one likes a quitter. Be relentless. Never quit. Never give up. Okay. Every one of those traits corresponds to a state above 200 on Hawkins scale. Optimism lives at willingness, which is around 310, right? Willingness, right? Hopeful. Trust lives at neutrality, 250. These aren't personality quirks. They're calibrated vibrational states, right? You can think of emotions as energy in motion. Okay. So the man who keeps saying, I never catch a break, is operating with perceptual filters that literally prevent his brain from handing the opportunity to his conscious mind. The $20 bill is on the floor. He's just not going to see it. Okay. So let's talk about the principle of rhythm. You can't stop the swing, but you can choose. You can choose where it lands, and you can also rise above it to see it for what it is. Okay. Now, if you ever read Vladimir Zeland's book, which I don't recommend, it's great. It's a great book. It's just fucking long. If you love long ass books that last 37 hours, then by all means, get it on Audible. Give it a listen. He basically is taking everything that I'm talking about and he breaks it down into just a different way of looking at it. Basically, all this stuff, all this type of stuff, we're all saying the same thing. We're just using different metaphors to understand it better. Right. But one of the things he talks about is this concept of pendulums, right? Pendulums comes from the Kybalion because they talk about the law of rhythm. The pendulum swings equally from, to the left as it does to the right. But if you think about what those pendulums really are, there are things in our environment. There are things that impact us emotionally, that cause us, that basically gets us into our feelings and then uses those feelings to manipulate us. Okay. Some good examples of this would be politics, whatever side of the spectrum you live on. Whatever the good guys say, right? You believe whatever they say. And then these guys over here piss you off, right? These guys over here piss you off. That's a pendulum swing. using your emotions to control your reality. You understand? Think of advertising. How people advertise, a lot of that is to control your emotions, to get you to a state to want to buy their products. Okay. If you have any product to sell, you have to learn how to do it, or else you're never gonna fucking sell anything, right? But that's the thing. It's a pendulum. It gets you into your feelings, gets you to feel a certain way so that you can be manipulated. And so if you can control your state, you control your reality. You're able to rise above it, see it for what it is, not be pulled into it, not letting the outside world control your inside world. Okay. As above, so below, as within, so without, works both ways, right? The outside world will impact your inside world, your emotions, if you let it. If you let it. This is why guys always, they point the finger at their wife. Well, I wouldn't be so fucking mad if she went blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah. She's controlling your emotional state because you don't have control over it. Control your state, control your reality. This is frame. This is why we invite you in the red pill space to look at your wife like the most responsible teenager in the house. Stop taking her so fucking seriously. Why? Because her whamming bullshit will stop impacting your emotions and controlling those emotions. You'll be able to rise above her bullshit, see it for what it is, whamming silliness that you shouldn't be taken seriously, and you'll start looking at her like the goofy bastard that she is. Okay? Rise above the state. Control your state. Control your reality. And when you're in control of your own emotions and you're not letting her dictate you, she realizes that she can't manipulate you. She starts coming around to your state. You see? She starts calming the fuck down. You see how that works? Okay, there's a method to the madness here, boys. So the Kybalion says the pendulum swings both ways, but the Hermeticists learn to neutralize the rhythm on the lower planes by rising to a higher one. You don't eliminate the bad days. You just start controlling your own state, okay? You'll find, though, that once you start controlling your state and looking at things differently from up here, bad things that happen don't look like bad things. Okay? It's wild. Once you can get up here more, when something that you didn't expect that isn't sort of like what you were hoping for or whatever, when that comes at you, right? Because you're up here where, like, where's acceptance? Where's acceptance at 350, right? You're already up here at 350. You're at acceptance. When you're up there and you see what that is, you go, oh, well, how can I do this better? Right? As opposed to being, fuck this, I quit. Right? You start looking at things like, oh, okay, well, what did that teach me? Okay, well, maybe I need to change things up over here, right? And then you start moving in this direction and you start hitting your goals more, right? You hit roadblocks because life will fucking test you. It will fucking test you, right? But if you hit those roadblocks and don't quit, right? Because what do the lucky people have? Relentless determination, right? You don't fucking quit. You look at that like, oh, it's a fucking roadblock. Well, what's this teaching me? Is there a way I can pivot? Okay, let me go over here. Go around the fucking roadblock. Keep going. You understand? You can only do that if you live up here in the spectrum, okay? Your emotional floor is anger at 150. Your ceiling is joy at 540. The pendulum swings between those two. Rise the floor to courage, and the swing above and below shift accordingly. Okay. Now you've been here all morning. You've taken in Hawkins, Snyder, the Kybalion, and some of Elizabethtown stuff at the beginning, who figured out all of this before most of our grandfathers were born. You didn't skim it. You stayed with it. Here's something worth knowing. Elizabethtown's book is already inside the Wolfpack Gratitude Group. So is Dr. Snyder's lecture. Okay. His full lecture on how your nervous system builds your reality through your beliefs and your five senses. Okay, you got to sample today. The full libraries in the Wolf Pack. 7-day free trial gets you in right now. Every course, every audiobook, every member discount is yours from day one. You keep all of it, even if you don't stay past the trial. That's not a risk. It's just a good deal. Okay, the kind of guy who watched this entire episode already knows a good deal when he sees one. The link's in the description, or you can go to wolf.comeonmanpod.com. Too sweet me, baby. Have you ever felt like something's holding you back? And too sweet. Bear Club? Not anymore.
Wolfpack, you fix what's broken. You lead like a man again. Too sweet. No pity, no therapy. Just fire, just frame. Cold bed, broken home, midlife drift, feeling alone. You don't need hacks, blogs, lies. You need men with fire in their eyes. We rebuild from the ground up. No excuses, no soft stuff. Telegram lit 24/7. Brothers locked in steel, not heaven. Step inside the pack. We don't fall, we attack. Truth, fire, presence, we bring it back. Masculine pride, no time to slack. Step inside the pack. Drop your past, claim your track. No therapy talk, no playing small. We sharpen blades, we take it all.
Oh, for the love of God, too sweet me for that one. What else? There was something I was going to say about the pack too, but well, whatever. Let's look at the chat here. Brother CW says, my inkling is say that would be nice instead of that's not true. You mean like when you have a goal and it sounds unattainable, like $1 million, right? Like I'm making $1 million a year. You're like, oh, that would be nice, right? That would be nice instead of that's not true. Yeah. That's a slightly better way of looking at things for sure. Right. And then he also says, I'm not a nice guy. I'm a good guy. You know what, girl, I'm a bad boy. Girl. I'm not a nice guy, girl. I'm a bad boy. Okay. If you guys that got the autographed copy of the new book, you guys are going to get those stickers, by the way. Phil's in the house. He says, okay. Yes. CW also says, get in it, gents, get in it. Yeah. Okay. Now here's, let me put this away for now. We can always bring it back up later. Now here's a fascinating concept. And I want you to understand something. Science doesn't have a good explanation of how consciousness actually works. I just want you to know that right now. You can Google it. There's a lot of theories out there, right? Or I should say there's a lot of hypothesis of how consciousness works, but no one really knows. No fucking scientist on earth actually has proven how consciousness works. Okay. So there is a hypothesis, and this comes from Asian, like Chinese medicine, Indian medicine and stuff like that, that the body is the subconscious mind. Okay. At least part of it. Okay. It's at least part of it. It's the biggest part of your subconscious mind. Right. Things you carry around aren't necessarily stored up here in your brain. They're stored in your body. Okay. And it makes sense if you think about it. The tension in your jaw, the tightness in your chest, the way you breathe when you're under pressure, that's where the programs actually live. Okay. They also exist outside the body. Okay. If you guys ever go to, I think it's called heartmath.org, they've done studies on this. They're able to measure this, but you have an energetic field that surrounds your body around about 8 feet out. Okay. Out from you. And it's put out through your heart and your mind put out these vibrations. Okay. You can measure this stuff with EKGs and EEGs and that kind of stuff. Okay. But heartmath.org has a map of this big energetic field that's coming out from you. Now, Here's where it's fascinating. Have you ever gotten into a conversation with somebody and they start telling you a story? Or maybe you do this yourself. You start telling a story, and when you start thinking of different things, you start reaching out here. You're like, yeah, over here, or you start doing this sort of thing, or your hands go into a certain area. Okay. I want you to imagine this for a second. What if what the hands are going for are kind of like shelves, right? Or filing cabinets out here in this energetic field. And the reason why your hands go to certain places when you talk about certain things is because you're subconsciously reaching for those in the field to pull that into your memory so that you can start visualizing it again, having the same feelings of when you were there, right? So it's all out here in this field, okay? Like I said, science doesn't really know how consciousness works, so this is as good as of a theory as anything else, okay? It's also a decent way of looking at things. So the reason why your hands are moving while you're talking isn't a you know, it's for a reason. It's not an accident, okay? But your body holds a lot of this stuff too, okay? The tension in your jaw, all that kind of stuff. So Hawkins' lower scale emotions, shame, guilt, fear, they're not abstractions. They have physical locations and physical signatures. Every man who's ever been gut punched by a memory that showed up without warning knows this, okay? You can change your state through your body faster than your thoughts, right? This is why I said to change your state, change your posture, okay? Here's a technique that he also does. I don't know if I want to get into it today because it will require some of you guys listen to stuff while you're driving. It wouldn't be good to do some of this stuff while you're driving, okay? But he does a technique called the spinning technique. And I've done this. I've done the spinning technique on clients. It's essentially a swish pattern. Okay. If any of you guys have ever studied NLP, you've probably heard of a thing called a swish pattern. It's just another way of doing it. Okay. But it's fascinating how it works. Yes, you've missed quite a bit. We're already at an hour. Erkin's here. He says, I'm late. Have I missed a lot? Yeah, we're already an hour and 22 minutes in. So he does this thing. He calls it the spinning technique. It's essentially a swish pattern. If you think about it, to me, it works the same way. I can understand why it works. And if you do it on people, it's fucking amazing to watch. Okay. But if you ask them, like, if there's any kind of negative emotion that they want cleared out, right? Let's say, a dog died and they're super sad. And they just can't get over it. Okay. The first thing you do is change their state. You have them stand up, right? Shoulders back or whatever. Okay. Then you have them close their eyes. And as you're listening to me talk, you start to realize the words that I'm saying, and you start understanding, you're starting to feel your body being where it is right now. Okay. Then I want you to think of that negative state, whatever it is. Okay. And then point to your body where that's stored. First impression. Okay. And when I tell you to do that, you're going to just point to wherever you're feeling that feeling. Okay. And honestly, the first thing that you go to, your first instinct, even if you're like, I don't know where, just first impression, just point to your body. Your body knows where it is. Okay. And as you point to that, you're going to realize that feeling has a color associated with it, right? What color is it? Right. First impression. Okay. Now, I want you to reach in and pull it out. Pull out that color, okay? Try to get all of it out as much as possible. Get all of that color out of your system, okay? And once you think it's in there, double check, because sometimes that stuff is persistent. It really wants to stay in there, right? So make sure you reach in there and get it all out, okay? Get it all out and put it in your hand like this, okay? Now, I want you to stretch it out like this, okay? And shape it into a circle, okay? And then as it's sitting out here, and you're holding this circle, you're going to notice it starts spinning one direction. Okay. It's going to start spinning one direction. Okay. Now I want you to make it spin faster in that direction. Notice the feelings associated with it. You might actually start feeling worse. Okay. So I want you to stop it. Spin it the other direction. Spin it the other direction. Spin it the other direction. Make it go faster. Make it go super fast. Make it go super fast. Fast, 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 fast. Notice how the color is changing. What color is it now? Now grab it, smash it together, put it back in your body. Notice how you feel. Realize that you can't feel any other way. Try to feel that negative feeling again. Realize that you can't. Think about that for a second, okay? It's stored in your body. Stored in your body. What you believe the world owes you is running your attraction program, okay? Your brain builds a map of how the world is from vibrational data. We talked about this, right? Light waves, sound waves, okay? And it runs it through two filters, your memories and your beliefs. Then it runs it through a second filter, how the world should be. How the world should be. You only ever interact with the second version, how you think the world should be, okay? If you believe women are untrustworthy, your brain will find evidence for that everywhere and filter out the counter evidence, okay? It's neuroscience. You're not being a pessimist. It's neuroscience, okay? You're filtering the world through what you think it should be. And so you believe, it's like the law of assumption, right? The law of assumption is what Neville Goddard called it, but in hypnosis, in Ericksonian hypnosis, it's the law of expectation. Okay, same thing. We're talking about the same thing here, but it's how you expect things to be for you. So if you expect all these women to be fucking cheaters and be fucking slutty sleuths and body counts of 5,000, like those are the types of women you're going to see. Okay. The Kybalion calls this mental plane work. Your girlfriend isn't the problem. Your wife's not the problem. The mental filter you're projecting onto her is the problem. So if you change the belief, you change what you see. Okay. Let's bring up the Hawkins scale because we've been talking about this quite a bit. So pride sits at, let's take off Wolfpack. Y'all have already joined the Wolfpack, right? Y'all have already joined now, right? Okay. So let's take a look at the Hawkins scale. So pride sits at 175, below courage at 200, below threshold between force and power. Pride is an emotion that requires external validation to survive. Okay. Take away the validation and pride collapses into shame. Right? If you put your girlfriend on a pedestal and you have so much pride because you have this beautiful goddess that you were able to marry and you put her up here and you're prideful, when that comes crashing down, you will fall down the scale, right? Most men confuse pride with self-respect. They're not the same thing. Pride is fragile. Self-respect is structural. One needs an audience, the other doesn't. Okay. So a man operating from pride is one disrespectful comment away from rage, right? This is why we talk about handling shit tests in space, right? Because you're operating up here on pride, and when a woman shit tests you, that hurts your pride, brings you down here into these negative states, right? Anger, right? A lot of you guys are living at anger in your marriage right now. A lot of you guys, right? This is why I'm constantly saying, like, you need to work on this shit, right? This is why I do in the Wolfpack, we have a thing that we started a couple months ago to try to get these guys out of this state, right? We call it the 90-day roommate experiment, right? Where basically the idea is to pull back from your wife enough to focus on you for a minute. Stop focusing on her so much. These guys, I've noticed in the last couple of months, can't fucking stop thinking about their fucking wives and what their wives aren't doing, what their wives aren't doing. And it's keeping them down here because they can't fucking take the focus off of her because they're living down here in resentment and anger, right? And they in this desire state. They desire sex with their wives. They desire more sex with their wives, and they're not getting it. It's just keeping them in this fucking place, right? You've got to get out of it, bro. You got to get out of it. You will never fix your marriage down here. You can only fix it up here. Okay. So if what did we say with the law of polarity and the mental transmutation? Okay. If you're down here focusing on why you're so fucking pissed off at her, start thinking about stuff up here, right? Love. Think about 20 reasons why you love your wife. Why did you marry her? Okay. If you're living down here, start thinking about why you actually married her. Why did I marry her? What do I love about her? Start naming off things that you actually love about her. And what you'll find, the more you do that, the more you'll start raising more up here. You'll start seeing her still doing some of that stuff. Okay. She's still doing some of it. We had our brother in Wolfpack yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He was already planning on divorce. He was like, fuck this, I'm out. Right? Fuck this, I'm out. And then day before yesterday or something like that, he got laid off. He thought his job was safe. He didn't really like it though. But he thought his job was safe, got laid off. And guess who was there for him? His wife. He's been living down here, and she still loves him. She's supporting him. She's like, she's helping him through this. Okay. Get out of here, because you're not seeing what's up here. Okay. By the way, guys, follow me on social media. The links are in the description for that. We only have a couple more concepts and then we'll wrap up here. It's a long episode today, but it's good. It's a deep one. All right. You guys might want to listen to this episode a couple times. Okay. So let's talk about the principle of mentalism in relationships. All right. You're never reacting to her. Okay. Every reaction you have to your girlfriend or your wife is a reaction to the mental model you have of her, which is filtered through every woman who came before her, every belief about women you've accumulated, and whatever emotional state you walked into carrying. Okay. So like you get home from work. I used to do this. This is how I know. Okay. Like I used to do this shit. I used to get off work. It was a long fucking day. I'm ready to go home. Right. I want my peace, bro. I'm driving home. I'm listening to talk radio. And guess who I'm listening to? Tom fucking Likas. Right. Tom Likas. He's probably, he was there before Rollo. You might say Tom Likas might be the actual godfather of Red Pill. And the thing about Tom Likas is he's very resentful with women, right? He got married, I think 7 times, has to pay all these bitches fucking alimony. Of course he fucking hates women, right? So he talks about never get married, talks about all this kind of shit, how to get more ass than a toilet seat, all this kind of stuff, right? So I'm listening to all this toxic shit about how women are gold diggers, women only want to use you for your money and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, fuck that, fuck these bitches, all this, all this kind of stuff. And then I get home and I park it, I park in the driveway, and I just got to sit there for a minute and be like, man, I'm going to walk in that house and I'm going to get the bullshit. The wife's going to come at me with the bullshit. She's been with the kids all day. I just need to fucking, I need some time to decompress. So I sit in my car because I know as soon as I go in the house, I'm going to get some fucking bullshit. Right. And I'm going to have to deal with these fucking kids. Right. You're already walking in with a negative attitude, and what's going to happen? Your wife's going to come at you with the bullshit, and you're going to be like, fuck, see, I told you she's going to come out with the bullshit. Right. You are projecting your internal map onto the people in front of you and then reacting to that projection. It's not real. It feels real because you're your own universe. You're the only thing feeling whatever you're feeling, okay? Right? But what if on your way home, instead of listening to Fresh and Fit, right? Listening to Rich Cooper, like I like Rich. Rich has been on the podcast before, but instead of listening to Rich Cooper about fucking tattoos and fucking body counts and all that kind of stuff, you just start thinking about, man, I love when my wife does this. I love when she does this. I love when she has this cute little giggle when she messes up or whatever. I love all these things. Start thinking of all these things about why you love your wife. When you get home, You're not going to want to sit in your car and avoid her ass. You're going to be kind of, looking forward to seeing her. And then when you see her and you have this, you're projecting this vibe of being positive and happy, right? And you love her and you walk into the house, she's going to feel it. And even if she was having a bad day and she comes at you with the bullshit, if you stay up here, you don't let her emotions dictate your state, she's going to come around to your state. If you don't let her emotions dictate your state, she will come around to your state. Control the state, control reality. Okay? The Kybalion would call this operating from the lower mental planes. The man who reacts to his wife or girlfriend as if she's his ex-wife already isn't responding to reality. He is responding to a mental construct, a story that he's told himself, okay? You need to see the difference. Understand, it's not reality. It's not real. And once you control your state, you control how you see things. Things will be different. Okay. Dr. Wayne Dyer says it. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. Okay. So you can deliberately move up the scale by using what the Hermeticists call mental transmutation, the art of changing one mental state into the other. Okay. Using the spinning technique that I demonstrated on the podcast. Hopefully you guys didn't crash your cars. Okay. It actually works whether you close your eyes or not. You guys probably noticed the difference when I did that. Okay. But the spinning technique, state access, right? Changing your physiology, the immediate state change, stop, look, listen, smell. Okay. They're all the versions of the same thing. You find the physical location of the state, identify its structure, and change the structure. The state changes because you changed the actual fucking code. The code of the matrix. You changed it by controlling your state. And you change that first by changing your physiology. Remember, get the meat suit involved. Okay. Hawkins' skill gives you a map. You don't go from shame to love in one step, but you move from shame to guilt to apathy to fear to desire to anger to pride to courage. Each step is achievable from the one just below it. Okay. But the way you get there is focus on the actual opposite. So like I said, if you're down here, focus on love. Why do you love your wife? Think of all the reasons. You're not going to feel love immediately. You're going to still feel like, fucking, I can't believe Paul's making me do this fucking exercise. Fuck this shit. Fuck you, Paul. Fucking talk about why I gotta love my wife, but fine, fuck. All right. She's got a great ass. All right. God, she shags like a fucking minx. Fuck, she cooks really fucking good. God damn it. She's really good to her kids. God, man, she's a really good mother. Oh my God. You know what? She's very helpful when it comes to coming up with plans, right? You start raising up the fucking scale as you start thinking of these things. Okay. Relentless determination over confidence. Okay. Confidence. This is an interesting thing. I want you guys to think about something. How many of you guys would do something if you felt more confident to do it? Right? Maybe you guys are out. Maybe you guys are post-divorce and you're out dating right now, or you want to date and you're just not having luck with the dating apps and you're thinking, okay, well, maybe I'll try cold approach or talking to girls in the supermarket. But even then, you can't make yourself do it. And you go, man, if I just had enough courage, I would fucking do that thing. If I could just muster up enough courage to do that thing. Okay. Think about that for a second. Now I want you to think about, was there ever a time in your life where you just did something because it needed to get fucking done and you did it anyway? You didn't, maybe it was something you didn't even really know how to do, but it needed to get fucking done. So you fucking, looked it up on YouTube and you're like, all right, fine, fucking, you got your hands in there and you figured it out. Has there ever been a time like that? When did the courage come? After it was done, right? taking action. In action before you get to the courage will get you the courage. Okay? What you think about that? Relentless determination over courage. Okay? Hawkins puts willingness at 310 and courage at 200. Okay? The will to do it is above the courage to do it. The willpower, the will to do it. You know, one of my mentors in the space, Bob Proctor, he used to say, Wernher von Braun, the guy that JFK went to when he wanted to put a man on the moon. He went to Wernher von Braun and said, "How can we do it? What do we need to get to the moon?" And Wernher von Braun told him, "The will to do it." That's all you need. The will to do it. Willingness is above courage. The will to do it. Okay. The will pull up your courage. Okay. I want to leave you guys with a story. Okay. I want to leave you guys with a story. There's a farmer. There's a farmer and he's got a couple of kids and they're out in the field and they're messing around on the farm. And out of the woods comes this white stallion, right? This young, white, virile stallion, right? Very, very handsome looking white stallion. And he's got a lot of energy, right? And the kids manage to, sort of get him under control, and they bring him to the dad and they're saying, Dad, can we keep him? Can we keep him? I think he'll be a good plow horse and, a good workhorse for the farm and all this kind of stuff. And the dad says, we'll see. We'll see. So they keep the horse, and one of the kids is riding the horse, right? And the horse gets spooked and he bucks the kid off, and the kid falls and he breaks his fucking leg. And all the villagers come out because they see this happen, right? The villagers come out, they see this poor kid in the ground, and they go to the farmer and they go, that horse is an unlucky horse. Look, if you didn't keep that horse, your son's leg wouldn't have been broken, right? That is an unlucky horse. And the farmer looks at the horse and he looks down at his son with the broken leg, and he looks at the villagers and he looks back at the horse and he goes, we'll see. All right. Well, about a week later, the local king, right? Because this was in a kingdom. The local king comes riding in with his army, and they're pulling out all the able-bodied men to come and fight in this battle, right? But they don't grab the son because his leg's broken. He can't go fight in battle. Okay. And then the king went off and all of his army got fucking wiped out, absolutely decimated. But the kid who broke his leg didn't have to go, and he didn't die. So was the horse lucky or unlucky? Buddha said all suffering comes from attachment. Hawkins maps this directly. Desire at 125, right? Desire at 125 is down here in hell. It's down here in your living hell. I've got to keep my marriage alive. I can't lose her. I can't lose her, right? I've got to get sex. I've got to get sex from my wife. My wife's not fucking me right now. Right? You're living down here. With desire. Desire's living in hell. Acceptance is at 350, which is transcendence. The difference isn't indifference. It's operating without needing a specific outcome to actually feel good about yourself, feel okay, right? Letting go of attachment to outcome. Once you let go of attachment to outcome, everything changes. It's fascinating how it works. When I was out dating, one of the things that this was after my divorce, right? And then I didn't come to this realization until after Red Pill Chick, when I ended up on the dating circuit the second time. But I had a massive desire to be in a relationship. I couldn't be alone. So every woman that I would meet on a date, I was pushing for a relationship. I desired a relationship. I didn't want to be alone. I was pushing them away with my neediness. But when you go into that type of situation and you don't need this to go well for it to be okay, all right, you start treating every date like a dating experiment, like I talk about in Everything I Wish I Knew When I Was 18, right? Because you're letting go of attachment to outcome. You're just collecting data. You'll find that women like you better because you're not being fucking needy, because you're at an acceptance level. Weird, right? Same thing in your relationship. You're desiring sex. I'm desiring my wife to change, right? You're trying to make your wife change. I'm desiring my wife to start coming around and changing. You're creating a lot of resistance that's keeping you down here in hell. But when you let go of that attachment to outcome, you start focusing on yourself. You start working on your state, learning how to control your state, learning how to work on your frame. You start rising up here. You don't need her to validate you anymore. That makes you more attractive. She'd feel that. Okay. I want you to be the farmer. When bad things happen, when good things happen, we'll see how it goes. Right? Always leave yourself open to something good possibly happening. We'll see how it goes. Even when something bad happens, like your son breaks his leg. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he's unlucky or not. Okay. Neutrality is 250 on the scale. Neutrality, right? You're already okay. You're starting to live in heaven when you're there. You're rising above the pendulum swing. You feel me? All right. Let me take a look at the chat here. Erkin's in the house. Come on, you talk about woo-woo. Come on, you talk about woo-woo. I haven't missed much. Oh, but you missed all the neuroscience about it, Erkin, so you're going to want to go back and watch the beginning. You missed all the neuroscience of it. Will says, good morning, gentlemen. All right. Before I let you guys go, I need to make sure you're coming back Monday, because what we're covering is the chapter most relationships won't touch and Keep Your Bitch with a 10-foot pole. They won't touch this. We spent today talking about what's happening inside you, the states you run, the reality you're building from the inside out. Monday, we're going from the internal to the external. And this one has real world consequences that most men find out about the hard way. Chapter 9 of Keep Your Bitch. Chapter 9 of Keep Your Bitch is about protecting yourself financially and legally inside a relationship, not when it ends, not when everything goes to shit. Okay. Because I lost my track of time here, right? Not after. Okay. While you're in it, and I'm going to be straight. This is the conversation that almost nobody in relationship space is having with men. Self-help books want to talk about communication and emotional connection. Red pill content wants to talk about dominance and attraction. Okay. Nobody really sits down and walks you through the actual legal and financial exposure you're carrying right now just by being in a committed relationship and what you can do about it before it becomes a problem. This is a part of the ongoing chapter by chapter series through the book. And if you've been following along, you already know each episode in the series stands on its own. You can watch it by itself. You don't need to have, you don't have to have caught up with the other ones to get value out of Monday's episode. But if you haven't grabbed the book yet, Keep Your Bitch, the link's in the description, and you'll want to get your hands on it before we get into it on Monday. Okay. You've watched this far today, which means you're the kind of guy who actually takes this stuff seriously. Monday's episode is built exactly for that guy. So set a reminder right now. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. And otherwise, I will see you then. And oh, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit those notifications, because I do have new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. That's all we have. We'll see you on Monday. Have a good weekend.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. Now, go out and get it.